Welcome, tech enthusiasts and startup savants, to another mind-bending episode of Mapping the AI Frontier. I'm Mark, your guide through the digital jungle.
And I'm Tom, the Indiana Jones of information architecture, minus the hat and whip. Though I do have a pretty sweet keyboard shortcut for undo.
Today, we're diving into the thrilling world of agile development and Wardley mapping. It's like mixing peanut butter and chocolate, but for your startup strategy. All right, Tom, picture this. You're a GenAI startup moving at the speed of light with your agile sprints, but suddenly you realize you're sprinting in circles. Enter Wardley Mapping, the strategic GPS for your agile journey.
Oh, I see what you did there, Mark. It's like giving Usain Bolt a compass. Sure, he's fast, but now he knows where he's going.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot between move fast and break things and look before you leap. Let's break down how these GenAI startups can make this work. First up, we've got sprint planning. Imagine your typical sprint planning session, but instead of just post-it notes and coffee stains, you've got a Wardley map spread out like a treasure map.
Ooh, X marks the profitable spot? But seriously, by referencing their strategic map during sprint planning, teams can ensure each sprint is a step towards world domination. I mean, strategic goals.
Right you are, Mark. It's like having a cheat code for your startup. You're not just building features, you're crafting your empire, one sprint at a time. Next up, we've got backlog prioritization. Tom, have you ever tried to organize your Netflix queue? It's kind of like that, but instead of choosing between Tiger King and The Crown, you're deciding the fate of your startup.
Oh, the drama! But with Wardley Mapping, it's like having Rotten Tomatoes scores for your backlog items. You can see which features are truly ready for prime time.
Exactly. By mapping user stories onto your strategic landscape, you're not just guessing which features to prioritize. You're making informed decisions based on your position in the market. It's like playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Speaking of user stories, Wardley Mapping gives them a whole new dimension. It's like upgrading from 2D to 3D, but for your development process.
Absolutely. By aligning user stories with your strategic position, developers get the big picture. It's not just about coding a feature, it's about advancing your position in the GenAI arms race.
I can see it now. As a user, I want to feel like I'm part of a strategic master plan. That's a user story I can get behind. Now let's talk about regular map reviews. It's like a pit stop in a Formula One race. But instead of changing tires, you're fine-tuning your strategy.
Oh, I love a good pit stop analogy. So, while the dev team is zooming around the agile track, the strategists are making sure we're still in the right race?
Exactly. These reviews help teams assess how their recent sprints have impacted the strategic landscape. It's like checking your GPS mid-journey to make sure you haven't accidentally ended up in a completely different state. Last but not least, we've got retrospectives. Mark, imagine if Doc Brown's DeLorean from Back to the Future was powered by Wardley maps instead of plutonium.
Great Scott, Tom. That's actually a brilliant analogy. Integrating Wardley mapping into retrospectives is like having a strategic time machine. You can see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going.
And hopefully avoid any paradoxes that could erase your startup from existence. But jokes aside, it's a powerful tool for reflection and improvement, ensuring each sprint brings you closer to your strategic goals. All right, folks, it's time to put on your cartographer hats and dive into our Wardley map for this episode. Tom, would you do the honors of setting the scene?
With pleasure, Mark. Imagine we're looking at a map of a GenAI startup's journey through the treacherous waters of agile development. On one axis, we've got evolution, from genesis to commodity. On the other, we've got visibility to the user. It's like a game of battleship, but instead of sinking ships, we're launching successful sprints.
I love it. Now let's zoom in on some key components. We've got agile practices sitting comfortably in the product rental quadrant. It's evolved, but there's still room for customization. Right next to it, we see Wardley mapping in the custom-built zone. It's less evolved but highly visible, the new kid on the block making waves.
Absolutely, Mark. And look at how strategic alignment is positioned between them, acting as a bridge. It's like the secret sauce that brings our Agile burger and Wardley fries together into a delicious meal of efficiency.
You're making me hungry for success, Tom. Now notice how sprint planning and backlog prioritization are closely linked to both Agile practices and Wardley mapping. It's like they're the children of this beautiful strategic marriage.
And let's not forget continuous improvement, hovering near the top. It's highly visible and evolving rapidly. It's like the North Star guiding our Agile Wardley ship through the stormy seas of the GenAI market.
Brilliant observation, Tom. This map really highlights how integrating Wardley mapping into Agile processes creates a powerful ecosystem. It's not just about doing Agile anymore. It's about being strategically agile in the face of rapid market changes.
Couldn't agree more, Mark. And for our listeners at home, remember, this map isn't set in stone. It's a living document that evolves with your startup. Today's custom-built solution could be tomorrow's product, and vice versa. Keep mapping, keep sprinting, and most importantly, keep innovating.
And there you have it, folks. We've sprinted through the integration of Wardley mapping and Agile development faster than you can say strategic synergy.
Indeed, Mark. Remember, GenAI Startups, your Agile methodology and Wardley maps are like peanut butter and jelly. Great on their own, but unstoppable together. Just don't try to spread them on your laptop.
Sage advice, Tom. And to our listeners, don't forget to check out our book, Navigating the AI Frontier, Wardley Mapping for GenAI Startups, for more in-depth strategies. Until next time, keep mapping, keep sprinting, and may your GenAI startup journey be ever strategic.